Hi, I'm Brad Sweezy, Vice President and co-founder of PR for Lawyers. And on today's webinar, I want to talk to you about factors that make your website rank so your firm won't tank. So let's get on to it. Again, I'm going to talk about why it's paramount for you to implement some search engine optimization when marketing your law firm. Hopefully you're doing this already, but if not, you need to get started. The new Core Vitals update, which is really a game changer. I mean, Google is constantly changing things. Even I think as late as yesterday or something. I think it's Penguin or something, or Pirate, whatever they call their latest update, is causing a number of websites to really go way down, like lose about 80% of their traffic. And also why content is still king. You know, you need new content, top-notch content on your website. A little bit about myself. I have almost 30 years of marketing. In a few months, it'll be 30 years in PR and marketing. I've worked for all kinds of organizations, from small ones, working with small businesses and law firms, to large organizations with budgets in, $3 to $4 billion. I've worked at the national level on the Department of Defense and the United States Food and Drug Administration in Washington, D.C. So I have a breadth of experience that is usually applicable to any size organization. I went to the Air Force Academy, which for people on the East Coast, you may not realize it's like West Point, but it's the Air Force's version. I graduated there with academic honors. Went to Georgetown University Law Center in Washington, D.C. And I also have a master's degree in military science as well. So if you need an air campaign planned, I can help you with that. These are just some of my achievements. I'm not going to talk about them. Let's talk about paging Dr. Google. Your firm's website is not something you just set up and just leave alone. It requires, like everything else, routine maintenance in order to stay healthy. And I look at Google's changes sometimes like weeds that grow in the grass. They just pop up. No matter what you do, you have to obviously be dealing with weeds that are going to pop up. So you really have to make sure that your website is doing all these things that can enable it to pass the test that Google likes to give time to time. So Google's Core Web Vitals. These are factors that at the moment Google deems to be important to the overall user experience. And that's ultimately what matters to Google. They want people to get information quickly and what they're looking for. And if you notice, Google's homepage is very simplistic, right? If you go to google.com, there's hardly anything on there. Why? Because it slows down load times. So that leads me into site speed and page load time. And I'll talk a little bit more about each one of these. A user-friendly site design, a safe and secure site, ease of use and interactivity, visual stability of the site's content, and content blockers. Page loading, sometimes referred to as the largest contentful paint. And that's really how long does it take for your page to load from the point of view of the user. The longer it takes, the poorer your score is. Ideally, you want your first page to open up in 2.5 seconds. And we'll give you the tools to test some of this stuff. So go on your phone, go on your website through your computer, and see how long does it take for you to load. The longer, the worse. Interactivity, the first input delay. So the time it takes for the user to interact with your site. So you want to make sure that it's easy to use. So once they get to your website, do they take action fairly quickly? Do they scroll, et cetera, those kind of things. The longer they take, that means it's more likely they're not finding what they're looking for right up front. Interactivity, and this is where you can use heat mapping software. We employ it on ours, and I just put up an example of our website yesterday or the day before about, you can see where the percentage of users are actually going to and clicking on, et cetera. So for example, with our public relations and marketing group site, about 5 and 8, almost 6% of the people went to the blogs and resources section. So that gives us a clue that we need to make sure that there are good calls to action on all those particular pages. The cumulative layout shift, visual stability. It's all about measuring the elements. If you're using a WordPress site or anything else, there's certain components in that web page that get loaded into a browser. So you want to make sure that your elements and everything else are loading smoothly and quickly. And these are some of the core Web Vital tools you can see: Search Console, PageSpeed Insights, Lighthouse, Chrome Development Tools, the Chrome UX user experience, and the Web Vitals extension. We'll talk a little bit more about these. There's also a tool called Measure, so you can measure the performance of your web page over time and see, are you improving or getting worse? The overall performance. So your overall score should be in the top 75th percentile of page loads, segmented across mobile and desktop devices. So when you're doing that, if I only had to do one thing based on all our work with attorneys across the country, and there are a lot of them, focus on the mobile first. Make sure your phone experience is a pleasant one, because chances are 7 to 10 of the people coming into your website are starting on their cell phones. That leads me to mobile friendly, mobile first indexing. So Google's going to check, how are you doing compared to everybody else on the mobile thing? Google is driving everybody to mobile because that's where they are. So focus on that first. And anybody who works with me or for me knows I will always ask, what does it look like on a cell phone? What does it look like on a smartphone? Because the reality is you're designing the website on a computer. Very few people, if any, I've never heard, are designing a website on a phone. So you really got to make sure it might look great on the computer screen, but on the phone, it might need some work. The other thing is, you see this from time to time, safe browsing. Google is trying to drive people to HTTPS sites. So they'll give warnings, and I'll show you a screen on the next slide where what happens when people see that. And you may have seen this before. Your site may be fine, but it might not be HTTPS. Okay, so Google will then go, guess what? Consumer warning. This might be a fraudulent site or something like that. And a lot of people are going to freak out about that, and they're not going to continue on to the site. So you need to check that from time to time on your site, because there may have been something that changed, and all of a sudden your site is getting this thing, and that's not good. No annoying pop-ups. There are various types of pop-ups, and I've got a lot of slides on that, but I'm just going to skip over it. The bottom line is be wary of putting too many pop-ups, if any, on your website. Now, there are ways to do pop-ups so they don't come on immediately. They may come on if somebody goes to 20 or 30%, scrolls down on a screen, and then pops up, or if it pops up when they're about to exit the site. So there are ways to do that. Those immediate pop-ups sometimes don't sit well with Google and consumers. So I'm just not going to go through all these. What good vitals do for your website? They help you get increased visibility on the Google search engines, which leads to increased organic traffic that's unpaid. And theoretically, if you've got good content, they're going to consume your content more and hopefully do the one thing that you want them to do, is contact you for legal services. These are the rest of those. So bottom line is, content is king. You got to make sure he eats, the Google monster eats, so to speak. You want to attract clients before they're ready to retain your services. The reality is, unless it's something immediate, like maybe I'm getting sued or something along those lines, or, somebody just died or about to die, whatever. A lot of times clients take their time in making decisions. So you have to be, from the get-go, attract them, get them interested in what you're doing for legal work, perhaps have a newsletter, which is something we recommend, but you want to attract them. So you can create long form content, so you can write to your heart's content. For our clients, we do the writing. We have an attorney on staff who does blogs, et cetera, for us. But then you can take that long form content and you can make it into something like a video. Then you can take that video and splice it up and put it on social media. You can also put the written content on there as well. So you're doing all of this from that long form content. I love words, et cetera, but I also like pictures. Pictures tell stories very quickly and communicate no matter what language they're on. I've got a few pictures behind me. I've taken all of them. My wife runs a travel agency. I take a lot of pictures. But with a picture, you can communicate very quickly something, and you can connect with people on an emotional level That's very important for people making decisions, because as much as rational thought is behind things, research tends to show we tend to make decisions emotionally, justify it with rational basis. And you want to write content that's relevant to what people are looking for. And using Google Console, I'll talk a little bit more about that. You can find what they're looking for and write content that meets their need. Obviously, define your practice. What do you really want to stand for? I mean, I've seen attorneys where they they say they're, let's say, personal injury attorneys, but then they also have on there handle bankruptcies, et cetera. That confuses people. When I want to hire an attorney, let's say on personal injury, I want a guy or woman who does personal injury. That's what I want to do. Now, yeah, you do all other forms of legal work, or you're capable of doing it as a licensed attorney. But the fact is, segment your practice focus on the most profitable niche, and then build another website if you feel like focusing on, real estate, for example. And you want to keep it clean. In other words, make sure there's no extraneous information on there that's going to distract the user. Google Search Console is a tool that you should have access to that really gives you an idea of what people are searching for on the internet, shows you any issues you need to fix, and helps you shine in Google search results. So it really behooves you to figure out Google Search Console, and obviously we can help you with that. You'll get alerted if there's problems, helps you get content on your website and optimize your content. Other performance factors are source links. For example, backlinks is what people refer to them as often. It used to be, just get backlinks, get more backlinks, the better. And that's not the case. Bad backlinks hurt you more than no backlinks. So the more you can do, for example, PR, and we do this with our clients, they get a story in the New York Times or something like that, or on TV, hopefully they'll write that article and put it on their website and backlink to your website. And that helps. More quality links referencing back to what you're doing, the more likely Google's going to say this is a valuable source for our users. Make sure the page headings are strong, related to what they're looking for. Same thing with the URLs, same thing with the alt tags, which are those things on pictures that have relevant descriptions related to the content. And then there's a meta title and description, which helps in the Google searches. To review, you want to focus on, loading times, interactivity, visual stability, mobile friendly, make sure it's safe, and that relates to HTTPS, and no intrusive pop-ups. Here's a toolbox review, and if you're getting this, have a hard time writing it down, we are going to send out a link to recording of this so you can take a look there. So let's connect. If you want a web analysis, a website analysis, even a marketing analysis of your company, et cetera, just give me a call. You'll meet with me personally, and maybe our partner, John, the president, my co-founder, and we'll just discuss with you. I'm under no illusion that attorneys make decisions quickly. Okay, I've been doing this a long time. Attorneys take their time. It could be anywhere from a month to 6 months to a year. So there's no pressure here. We have a conversation, and then we begin the dialogue, and that's just the reality. So there's no high pressure, et cetera. We've got enough work. We will continue to get work as our pipeline comes in, as the attorneys try other things, try to do it themselves, and then eventually, maybe decide to move forward with us. You can always reach me via phone at the toll-free number. It goes right to me. You can email me at brad@PR4Lawyers, and we'll, go from there. And that's it. So have a good day.